Welcome, everyone, to the Stephen Hines and Elizabeth Stralla show. I bet you didn't expect to see us here, did you?
I didn't expect to see us here, so pretty sure they didn't.
Yeah, we are here and ready to talk about Stephen Hines, his journey everywhere he has been in life. It's a very interesting one. Ever since I met him, I've always thought that he had a very interesting story, and the more that I continue to get to know him, it's almost like I'm just finding these little pieces of nuggets of gold. A lot of success stories involved. So, Stephen Hines, thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Thanks for the invitation.
So, Stephen, just to so everybody knows who you are and what your background is, I'm going to kind of just share a little bit from my understanding. Incredible individual. Your whole journey has been. You started at a very early age, and this is carried on your whole life. Now you're a giver. You give in every area of your life. So your focus now is in the healing arts. You're helping people become more whole in themselves, in their lives, and experience more inner fulfillment, joy, and happiness. So that's something that I personally just really admire about you. A funny story, because early on you started as a clown. That's where everything began. And I think that really is a testament to how you have developed and chose to grow in your lifetime, because you haven't always been this profound yogi. You know, you had a fun and a playful, you still are, but you had that timeline of graduating from college as a clown, and then you begin to transition into sales, which is super interesting. You have all of these titles from being a great salesman, leading sales teams, which is super powerful.
Before you read your notes, I want to illuminate what a clown is, because most people have no concept. Most people think a clown, a classically trained circus clown from Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus, the greatest show on earth. This is before your time. Something that started back in horse and wagon days with tents and poles and so on. This is a major part of history on the planet, European history and American history. A clown is not a character that you put on. It is a character that you pull out. It is something that you dig into yourself, your personality, your character, and you bring it out in a costume and in a makeup and in a hairstyle and in a shoe, and you make it physical.
Wow.
And you make it physical in a way that it can be interpreted from the first row VIP seat at Madison Square Garden. But you can also see it and feel it on the back row of the nosebleed section of the third balcony. It is the expression outward, the emoting of who and what you are at the essence of yourself in an auditorium or a arena. That's what a classically well-trained Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey circus clown can do. And only the best of the best show up in those shows that we go pay the ticket price to go see. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean,
read your notes.
I'm happy to continue edifying, although you really just have blown me out of the water with that. I was completely unaware.
It's a deep well here.
Wow. A very impressive individual.
Well, thank you. It's just my life this time.
And thank you for activating and illuminating it, because it's clear that when we live with awareness and intention and consciousness, we can choose how we want to project what's within. So thank you very much. You begin to practice yoga simultaneously with real estate. And at your real estate height, you had almost 100 properties under your belt, which is amazing. Before that, you were in sales.
Yep.
And as you were transitioning from real estate into your sabbatical, which we can get into a little bit of the stories, your 7.5 year sabbatical and solitary or well
Well,
confinement,
I was
a
in
lot
confinement,
of
and I was in solitary a lot.
solitary
Very
confinement.
pivotal, emotional, amazing, life-changing things happen in solitary confinement.
You found yoga right before going into solitary
Oh, I'm so
confinement.
glad.
Maybe you could allude to yoga saving your life or giving you a new life.
It's definitely a key component of me achieving greater understanding. Absolutely.
This ricochet effect. Of course, not just yoga.
Yeah.
Everything that came after it and
Yeah.
everything that led up to even the discovery. And right before you went into your sabbatical, you were a founder of the private success club that is now worldwide, that we're both a part of. Continue to be represented as a founder. The level that the club has grown to, which is really cool. And now you're in an interesting area of life where you're focusing and putting attention on growing a healing business. I can see how you have been led here through all of your past, and it's really incredible to be sitting here with you. So thank you.
Thanks for the kind words.
I would say that the very first thing that stuck out to me about you is your yoga practice. When Stephen and I were introduced with one another, it was through a private success club that we're both involved in. And you told me you were a yogi. I was a new one at the time, a baby one, still am really. And that was the first, I would say, mentorship that I started with you through yoga. Of course, through the club too. And that's a little bit of a segue. But if you can tell me just where you have been in yoga, what initially drew you to yoga?
Well, we attract things into our lives. So I don't know that I would say it's the other way around. I would say I attracted that yoga to me. And that yoga came in the form of a fantastic artist from Ireland who lived in the UK. And I was hosting this turned out to be an international event back when I had the big house in Youngstown, this big, beautiful house in the north side of Youngstown. It's long burnt down now. But anyhow, she came, and one of the things we did, there's a recording of this somewhere on YouTube, I've seen it, where we had this yoga class in the backyard and for this big event. We had all these people from all over the world, and it somehow just gripped me. She left and the whole event was over, and I remember that I felt so good after that very first session, that I couldn't let it go. I had to go back to it. So I turned out being that weird neighbor that would be doing yoga in the front yard because I liked my front yard better. I had more flowers and stuff there. Once yoga gripped me, I just kept going, and I kept finding little books and studying different poses, and it just got bigger and bigger and bigger until, I started doing 28-day retreats and things like that, and figuring out what my practice was. And everywhere I went, it didn't matter where I was, I somehow managed to keep attracting yoga masters to myself. So when I lived in Southern California, I had a Russian yoga master. I was in, where the heck was I? I was back in Lapeer in a jail cell. A whole nother story I'm sure we'll get to eventually. And I was sharing my cell with a yoga master from, I don't even remember where he was from. So, you have plenty of time in that type of setting. So we spend a ton of time in yoga and just exchanging different postures and so on. It was really fun.
You said ever since yoga had a grip on you, and I want to talk about that.
Okay.
It's interesting the way that you worded it. I guess first, what is the grip that you're referring to? And did you experience that the first time you practiced?
I didn't realize it the first time I practiced that it was there, but I guess the result of that first yoga session, that first class in my backyard was somehow profound. Somehow it was life-altering in some way. I don't really know how to describe it other than that. So then I had to return to it. So that's what I mean. It was grip, pull, attraction. I don't know what the right word is, but I had to return to it. It wasn't really a conscious, logical choice. It was just like, oh, I got to do that again. And then I did it again. And then I was like, oh, I got to do that more. And then it just kind of went from that one time a week to 3 times a week to, eventually in captivity every single day for 3 or 4 hours a day. Yeah.
Well, with yoga, you can reach the flow state A lot of neuroscience people talk about the flow state. There's a lot of ways that you can depict the flow state. With yoga, for me, I didn't have a flow state. I had to practice it a lot before I felt that stillness. And it's interesting, the more that you practice it, the easier it is to get to that stillness.
Absolutely. I don't even have to practice it to get to the flow state, to get to the stillness. I just take a breath.
When were you aware of the stillness?
Hmm.
Or was that even before yoga? Does yoga even have anything to, I mean, I'm sure it enhanced your ability to be aware of the stillness.
So I would say, looking back, I could get into the stillness before yoga. Yoga gave me a mechanism, a tool, but before that, I was in real estate at that time, and I had a lot of rental properties. And one of my biggest challenges was to find a painter that I could trust in my properties to go in, do a good job, and do it at a reasonable price. So I ended up doing my own painting. So here I am, I got all these properties, and I would just throw on my nasty jeans and my grubby ripped t-shirt, and I would just disappear. And I would just tell my partner, all right, I'm going to go paint for a while. I need to paint. And I would, dive into the paint. I'd mix my own color, and I'd paint this interior of this house or side of a house or whatever. When you have such an intense focus on something, or when I have an intense focus on something, I just kind of get into that. The brain doesn't have time to work, because if anyone knows something about cutting in, you have a brush and you're up against a ceiling, and the ceiling is generally white usually, and you got to draw a nice straight line. Well, if you're focused on a straight line with a wet brush, you don't have time to think about grocery shopping and the argument you had with so-and-so and why is this project not working out. And you don't have time to think of that. You're focused on making a straight line with a wet paintbrush. So that was my go-to before yoga. But yoga, to do that, you need a place, and you need tools, and you need all that other stuff. Yoga gave me the ability to go out on the grass in my bare feet and a pair of shorts and just do it. So I think maybe that's why it's so appealing. I can carry it with me everywhere I got it.
Yeah. You don't even need a mat.
Don't even need a mat. How many times have you and I been on a beach or on a cliff overlooking something, and we didn't even have a mat? We had a patch of grass or a hotel towel or whatever. I mean, okay. We were in the studio a few minutes ago. We're fully dressed in formal attire, and we're doing yoga during a photo shoot. It is what it is. It's just always there.
It's interesting, Stephen, because with where we are in society now, people think that they are enjoying or disengaging with the mind, when in fact they're numbing the mind. The mind never shuts off. What does that bring up for you?
I would say that most people are in a push state with their mind, because they're pushing out the thoughts. Whereas a yogi, when I use the word yogi, I mean capitalized Y, yogi, where yoga is a part of your life all the time. It's not just a practice that you practice on the mat. It's a walking, living meditation lifestyle. The magic happens when you're in a receptive state. And this has come very, very helpful in the remote healing practice, because I have to essentially intuit what is happening with my client. So I can zero in on their field, their essence, their feeling, their emotional state, and then pull from that the disturbances, vocalize it, define it, describe it, so they can say, oh my God, that's that argument I had with Dad when I was 5. And then they go into the story, and then we go into the emotional state of that, and then we clear that emotional state. So it's the difference between pushing out a thought, right? Oh, I got to go to the grocery store. I got to get this list, and you're running a list. Or, oh, I got to talk to so-and-so. I got to make this phone call, or I got to do this to-do list, or I got to do that. That to me is you're pushing out thought. Whereas when you're intuiting, when you're literally into, you're inward, and you're receptive to whatever that state, energy, condition, surrounding is. Did that help?
Yeah, a lot. I came across a quote yesterday, in fact, from Rumi. He said, I was searching for God, but I only found myself.
Mm-hmm.
And I was searching for myself, but I only found God. I mean, we live on a physical planet. Like, this is a table, this is a microphone, this is a chair. Mm-hmm. Everything's physical. So as we begin to grow up, we adjust ourself to the external environment. And that causes most people, in fact, everybody, to a degree, to identify with the external or look outwardly. And then at some point, maybe you start this inward journey, and then you begin to look within, reflect within. And then at some point, it's interesting that the two combine. Mm-hmm. They come together, and the separation between what's within and what's without is the wall is very thin.
Have you seen the movie Rental Family? I'm pretty sure it's called Rental Family.
They rented a family?
Rental. It's either Family Rental or Rental Family. It's one of those two. And it stars Brandon Fraser. He goes to, I want to say it's Japan, completely transplants his life, and he ends up in this job where people rent him to play roles in their life. Because of the Japanese culture, this makes sense. Doesn't make sense to the human or to the American mind, but anyway, it's a very interesting movie, and he takes care of this gentleman, and this gentleman is a frequent prayer. And when they pray, they go into I don't know if it's called a temple or not, but they go into this, I'm going to call it a temple for this story, this space, and the gentleman falls behind a curtain. So Brandon's character stays outside and wonders, well, what's going on? So the whole movie, this older, wise Japanese gentleman is dropping these little nuggets of gold, and he's like picking them up and always wondering what's going on behind that curtain until the very end. He goes behind the curtain. I won't spoil the end. You got to go watch it.
What's behind the curtain? Rental Family.
Either God or self or both. You got to watch the movie, I guess. Yeah.
Interesting.
It's a small line.
I'm sure I'm going to have a cognition of some kind from it.
Yeah.
I could spin this in so many directions right now, Stephen. I mean, as you talk, thoughts and ideas come up in my mind. You started talking about time, and we can go into time and space. Although it would be nice to stick to some sort of structure here. It's really easy to go with the flow. But I am very interested to hear what you have to say about your healing practice that you have now. If you can give me a little bit of a backstory, because you can connect the dots looking back. You can't connect them going forward. Where you are now, what is one story or situation that you've had in your past that you would say has a direct impact on where you are now?
Going way back, I want to say about fifth grade. Fifth grade, I became conscious of something. And I realized about then, I really cognized that my mom and I had an unnormal connection. And that connection was non-physical. It was ethereal, mental, psychic, something. It was something, because her and I could communicate in ways that other people couldn't communicate. We could finish, if we were together, we could finish each other's sentences. If we were apart and I felt I needed help, Mom somehow knew. And then this series of things would happen. Now you just get on the phone and text somebody. But back then it was, Mom calling my best friend's parents and saying, what's going on with Stephen? How is he? And, oh, he just slipped and fell at the pool, that kind of thing. And we just put a Band-Aid on his knee or something like that. And I'm like, that's not a usual thing. So I remember that as I somehow knew something and had connection to things that most people didn't. I did not, however, have like one of our common friends who had someone at that age that could tutor him and guide him and help him control it and understand it and powered up. I didn't have that. So it was a lot of hit and miss. I remember when I was about that age, I wrote a poem, and I remember vaguely I said something like, I feel like I'm going through a life in the dark with a flashlight with a loose battery. I get like these glimpses of these pictures, and I try to remember what I saw, so when the light goes out, I could somehow navigate my life. So that's as far back as I can recall something that would be directly related to my healing practice.
So are you saying that you were aware that you had an ability to help facilitate some sort of healing for your mom?
I wasn't that cognizant of that aspect, no. Though it's interesting that you bring that up because I've never spoke of it. When we go away on our trips and we go into our high-level trainings, and then I talk to Mom soon thereafter, she will literally quote something that I just learned or we just learned in that training, and I'm like, okay, did she bug me? This is a new suit. Mom's never seen this suit. How does she know that? There's a connection there that's stronger with my mother and I than most people realize that they have. They have it too, but they just don't realize it.
And there's so many reasons why people aren't cognizant and aware, right?
Yeah. Oh, there's so many reasons, which is probably why so many people buy so many packages from me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard the story of, I think it was from Deepak Chopra, the studies that he did in the early 2000s on, I'm going to use the term psychic. I don't know if that's like what he was studying about, but there was a young kid who said that he could read his mom's mind. Are you familiar with this story?
No, please.
Yeah, so he said that he could read his mom's mind and he was neurodivergent. So he brought a couple of scientists in with him and they went and visited this young gentleman's house with his mom. I think he was like 12 years old, maybe. I don't know. I could be wrong there. And so they said, okay, we're going to do the study right. If you can actually read your mom's mind, let's put your mom in one room and let's put you in the other room. Let's have your mom read this book and you're going to quote exactly what she's reading. Except she's not going to read it out loud. She's going to read it in her mind. And they did all of the verification for this story, but the kid was able to say out loud what the mom was reading in the moment that she was reading it. They asked the kid, they were like, and so typically he's a shy kid, and they were like, how can you do that? And the kid said, because I love her so much. And I find that really interesting.
Well, you have that kind of bond with your mom. So it'd be interesting to play with.
Yeah. In fact, the other day I was picking somebody's brain about real estate, and I come home and I'm regurgitating everything I heard because I had to lock it in, cement it in. And she said something exactly that the person said to me, like word for word. I can't recall what it was now, but I was like, Mom, that's really weird that you just said that because I just heard that. So it's interesting that these ideas, these blocks of thought are in the ether, and you can, when you're tuned in, you can pick them up. Even when you're not tuned in, you're picking them up and you're probably just not aware.
Yeah. So I have spent a lot of time since my incarceration watching the signs. And now when I hear something when I hear something once that's brand new, it gets my attention. When I hear it twice, now I'm focused. And if I hear it a third time, that to me is a sign from God, universe, source, whatever you want to call it. I got to pay attention to that thing. And I'm now leaving an industry, the hospitality industry, that I entered into completely unplanned because someone came into my space. They were there for maybe a grand total of 2.5 minutes. They said the exact same word that I never heard 3 times in a row. As soon as they said it the third time, I instantly turned to my computer and Googled it. And when I turned around after Googling it, they were gone. So it was like that was a message that I had to pay attention to that. I ended up being the assistant general manager of a particular hotel through the COVID because of those 3 words mentioned in some random conversation with a guy I never saw again. And I gained a whole ton of experience that led me through that industry and through just about every position you can have.
Wait, so you're saying you used the words to get a position?
The word was a sign. So I had to follow up on what was that word. I had to look it up because I didn't know what it was. And then when I looked it up, it was a hotel, and I like stopped everything, made a phone call, scheduled an interview. Because of the logistics of it, I ended up doing back-to-back first and second interviews. I landed the job inside of a couple hours. I was living in a halfway house on the east side of Cleveland, and I literally moved. When I finished that time at the halfway house, I moved into the hotel, and that's how I came back out into the world after my federally funded vacation.
So the first time it catches your attention, the second time you're focused,
Yeah.
and the third time...
Action. It's time for action.
Interesting.
And it happens a lot. Also, numbers come to me a lot. I have yet to keep track, but if I did sit here and carry a little piece of paper and do hash marks, probably just about 80 to 90% of the time I see a number, it's a symmetrical number.
It reads forward and
Yeah.
backwards?
Yeah.
Like they mirror one another? Huh.
Yeah, I don't wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I wake up at 4:04.
Every day?
Well, generally. If it's not 4:04, it's 5:05 or 6:06 or 7:17 or whatever. It's time to eat breakfast. Look at the clock. Oh, it's 7:17. No wonder I'm hungry. I can't explain it. At first, it was an observation. Now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy because I'm saying it and I'm noticing it, and now it's just a normal part of my life. But it started out as an observation. Oh, that's interesting. Why is that symmetrical? And then I'd Google it. What does this number mean? Right. And then, because I too got into numerology for a long time and kind of got sucked into that world. So
it's a rabbit hole.
It is a rabbit hole.
I've said recently, I have to be very intentional about the rabbit holes that I choose to go down, because you can go down any.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can drill deep on anything.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is surface level in this life.
Well, some people are.
Well, they think they are.
Yeah,
and so
that's
then
right.
again, with the self-fulfilling prophecy.
I stand corrected or improved.
Ah, very interesting. And so, Stephen, you haven't always been this way.
No.
I mean, I've known you for, 4 years now?
I'm one of those woo-woo people now.
Oh, but the last 4 years that I've known you, you've been woo-woo.
Yeah, I wasn't always woo-woo.
I met you and you were woo-woo. I remember I would talk to people in the club that we're both a part of, and their perception of you was different than my perception of you. They were like, oh, Stephen used to be this like player back in the day and, all this stuff. And now he's just this yogi ready to, shed some light on people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't imagine Stephen that way.
Well, I've done the houses and the cars and the, travel and stuff. I miss the travel. We're going to do that more. But anyway.
If you will, please just entertain us. Give us a story.
You want me to juggle? What do you want me to do?
I know you
handstand?
can. You were a clown at one point.
Your handstand's better than mine.
But if you were to pull a story out of your treasure box of experiences that you've had in this lifetime, what is one that was a very big lesson? You can make a judgment call on bad. It appeared to be bad. Of course, we know nothing is ever bad. But yeah, what's embarrassing, funny?
That is a deep box. I will pull out one that was very profound and directly related to that first story when I was a kid and realizing the connection I have with my mom and the healing practice that I have now. And it's pretty much in the middle. I remember that I was in prison in Pennsylvania, and the whole situation leading up to it was just so out of left field from my perspective at that point. It was like, how does someone like me who's worked so hard and attempted to be as honest and forthright as I possibly can end up in this place? And the answer came during this story that I'm going to tell you. So I'm in this prison in Pennsylvania. I've been convicted of something that I didn't do. 2 things I didn't do. Slammed in the media. Every penny I've ever made is gone. I literally live off $5.35 a month. You can't even buy a jar of peanut butter for $5.35 a month. No financial support from the outside. And someone assaulted me. And when you're assaulted in prison, one, I was astonished that I even got assaulted because, well, you know me. I'm like, Mary Poppins or something. Well, no hair, but anyway. Mary Poppins was this character way back when. Anyway, figure it out. Google it. So anyway, I was assaulted. And when you're assaulted, you can't say that you were assaulted because that's called ratting. And if you rat somebody out, well, now you're a rat. You're labeled a rat and you're shunned. So you can't do that. But somehow they figure out, okay, you were assaulted. And then they, I don't know, probably through cameras or something, figure out who they think the person is. And then there's this big investigation and you sit there in the SHU. SHU stands for Solitary Housing Unit or something like that. Oh, Special Housing Unit, Solitary Confinement.
I didn't know that was an acronym. I thought it was like a shoe.
No, SHU, Special Housing Unit. So they use the Special Housing Unit for a lot of things, especially if they suspect something's going on. You get isolated there. Well, anyway, I was in isolation and they threw me in a cell with, I assume he was a gangbanger. He's very angry and I could feel the heat energy from him. Anyway, he was very angry when I walked in the cell because he had it all to himself this whole time. And now here I am. So I just said, hey, I'm the guest here. This is your house. Just tell me what the rules are and I'll just take the top bunk because no one likes the top bunk in prison. Makes no sense. It's the power spot. I don't know why they wouldn't do that. But anyway, whatever.
They don't want to climb.
I'm not a street person, so I don't get it. But the top is where it's easier to kick down if you have to than it is to punch up. So anyway, it just made more sense to me. But anyway, never had to kick down, thank God. I'm up there. And as you know, when we sit at a meal, I energize my food. And now I energize everyone at the table. And I energize the room. And I energize the hotel. And whatever. You've experienced that. But anyways, I'm sitting here focusing on my food. Now, this is a gangbanger. He's got a few tattoos, teardrops on his face. I'm assuming that means he's killed a few people. And he watches me energize my food for 3 days. Didn't say a word to me. And then he says, I noticed you energize your food. Now, this is a gangbanger, teardrops, tats everywhere, tough guy. And he's like an OG gangbanger. Like you could see the guy carrying like Rambo, every weapon there is. Like,
did he use the word energize?
He says, yeah, I noticed you energize your food. That was like his first full sentence to me. And I said, yeah. And this started a conversation that lasted nonstop through the night. He said, my son has been writing me, telling me he was going to join the gang. And I've been trying to talk him out of it because that life has led me to where I am. And this is no place for anyone to live. And I couldn't get the point across to him. And it was really driving me crazy. But now after this conversation, I know exactly what I got to say to him. And he said, I thank you very much for it. And he gave me a big hug and his eyes were welling up and my eyes were welling up. I realized in that moment that I carry something because this wasn't the first time. This was me noticing the cycle. So I knew I carried something. And as soon as that happened and we had our mutual respect, hug, thank you, I'm glad I ran into you in this weird place situation, they came and let me out. And I went back into my life and, I was a teacher. I taught a class in prison and taught yoga. I did a lot of stuff. But anyway, they let me out. So when they let you out of the SHU, it was during a non-movement time. So in prison, there's time where you move and there's time where everyone stays and wherever they are, if they're in class or if they're in their housing unit or wherever they are. It was during one of those non-movement times. And I remember I'm going down this long concrete hallway. As I'm walking down this hallway, I know I'm all by myself. And I said, okay, I get it. I get it. And I'm talking out loud. I hear my voice reverberating off the walls. I get it. I'm carrying the light. I get it. Now, I want you to put me wherever I got to be to do whatever I'm supposed to do when I'm there. And if I'm faced with a choice, I want you to make the right choice, the best choice, feel so good that I can't avoid it. And I want the less good choice, the one that's not the ideal choice, I want that choice to feel so bad that I would not take it. This is a decade-ish ago, and that's how I run my life now. If something feels good, I go in that direction. If something doesn't feel good, I just politely decline.
Well, what if it appears
It doesn't matter how it
Opposite.
appears. So in our training, you and I both know that our shared mentor says you got to be in a state of non-judgment, which is very yogi,
Mhm.
right? When you're in a state of non-judgment, it doesn't matter what it looks like. It's only when you're stuck in your head, when you're stuck in duality, when you're stuck in, oh, this is a table, this is a chair, this is a microphone, that's a camera. When you're stuck in that duality, you're logically calculating what is the right choice. And that is, in my opinion, completely the wrong way to go through life. If you follow the feeling, and most people will agree with me once I say this, because almost everyone has ignored their gut at one time or another and then got into whatever they were into, a job, a career, a relationship, whatever. And then it goes sideways and they say, man, right in the beginning, my gut told me not to do this and I did it anyway. That's divine self. Sorry to cut you off, but that's something non-mental telling us this is the right decision or not the right decision. I just, in that moment, walking down that hallway, made absolutely certain that God, source, ether, universe, whatever you want to call it, knew that I wanted that feeling to be so black and white that I would not take the least best choice. I would always pick the best choice. And somehow here I am on camera in a studio talking about this weird woo-woo thing that I never thought I would do and have thousands of audio and video and written testimonials about whatever amazing thing has happened to these people. I can't explain it, except that it's a feeling. It's not a thought. It's a feeling.
What's in my mind is the idea that the highest form of learning is unlearning. And I'm curious what you think about this when it comes to the gut signal. We know that there's a mind-gut connection, and we know that the gut connection is really based on what we're consuming. Depending on the choices that you make in life, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, a lot of people, they aren't aware of what the gut signal is. And if they are, or at least they think they are, perhaps they've gotten into the habit of recognizing their gut feeling from a place of fight, flight, or freeze, survival. What do you think about that? The idea that the gut signal could be off or imbalanced or not trained properly. And how would you even go about correcting that? How do you even know if it's off?
All right. So I would say at first, most people doubt their gut. Doubt sinks ships. So if you doubt your gut, you're always second guessing the feeling. Okay. And the gut is kind of a centralized word. I would say the torso, because if generally speaking, the gut is going to tell you warning, don't go on that date. Oh my God, what are you thinking? But right, guys, we logically think, oh my God, she's so pretty or this or that. And then we end up in this relationship 6 months later. It's like, what was I thinking? This woman is psycho or this guy is psycho. What am I thinking? Right. And then you end up in this painful breakup. Whereas if you feel it in your heart, up here, higher in the torso, now it's from a place of love and mutual attraction. And it's a warm, this is like a home I've not known before. And now you're like, oh, okay. So now here you are, you're feeling your way through this world. Once you feel it and you learn to trust it, it takes time to trust it. And I'll get to the accuracy of it in a minute. Once you get used to trusting it, then you make the decision based on it. And then that's when the hard drive kicks in. I've been monastic for quite some time and I just met somebody and they live on the other side of the planet. So now it's like, okay, I felt it here and I've been assured that it's mutual. So now it's, okay, calculator time. How are we going to bridge this gap? Because there's a 15-hour plane trip between the two of us. Fortunately, we're both entrepreneurs. Fortunately, we have some means beyond a normal 9-to-5 person, but it's still logistically a challenge. But that's where the calculator comes in. Okay, how many miles can I use? How many Okay, when can I schedule enough time to go there and make it worth the trip? And how many of my remote calls can I do while I'm on the other side of the planet? And what's the time change going to be? And thank God for Calendly and Google and translators and all that. And then accuracy. You talked about accuracy. Well, the way that you get accurate, did I answer the first part of the question?
Restate your answer in brevity.
Restate my answer. 1, bad warning feelings are low. Warm, positive, happy, go this way feelings are high. Generally, this is how I feel it. Might be slightly different person to person. And then the calculator is not where you make the decision. That's where most people make their mistake. They make their decision up here. No. Make the decision down here.
Okay, so take the feelings.
Yeah.
Well, when you say make a decision, that sounds like you're making a decision.
Yeah, no. I don't make decisions up here. I make a financial decision here, right? If we go to the grocery store, I'm going to use this card because I get a points back. If I go to the gas station, I'm going to use this card because I get points back. All right, I make that decision up here. I don't have to check in. Am I using the American Express or the Visa? I don't have to check in for that. What I'm talking about is when I'm making a choice in regards to a career move or an investment or a relationship or something, I'm checking in down here. This is where I make my decision. And then the calculator, the hard drive, the computer that God gave us helps me create the path to getting from where I am to where I want to get, which is back to this feeling.
Okay. This reminds me of, it's a basic concept, the training balance scale.
Mm-hmm.
Feelings, 95, 99% of it
is the feeling. Yeah. And 5 or 10% of it is the thinking.
The thinking. Okay, cool. Yes, you did. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So then the second part of your question was accuracy of the gut. All right. I'm expanding the gut to torso. Accuracy. Well, if you are someone that's eating lots of highly processed foods and drinking tap water or soda or not conscious about what you're consuming, you're putting toxins in the body, and those toxins create all kinds of biological effects. And I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to try and spin here all the negative effects of this stuff. But from my perspective, it makes me feel smaller. It makes me feel heavy. It makes me feel sick. It makes me feel tired. If you set me a Coke right here and I drank it, I don't know why I would drink it, but if I did, no offense to Coke, if I did, I would not feel so great. I just know I wouldn't feel great. I'm a pure spring water. I drive 40 minutes to my spring once a month to fill up and to bring it back. I don't even use the filtered water that I can have right there in my apartment. I go and I fetch my water. Reminds me of a Chinese proverb. Before enlightenment, chop wood, haul water. After enlightenment, chop wood, haul water. Right? So I go 40 minutes to the spring and I get my water. Anyway, back to the main question. If you're putting toxins, any kind of toxins in your body, whether you're breathing it, eating it, drinking it, whatever, on your skin, cosmetics, lotions, whatever, if you're putting any of that in your body, it's going to affect the accuracy of the feeling. So I have spent, and many of our peers have spent, a lot of time and resources cleansing the body. There's that fantastic place out in Hawaii where you could go and take care of your liver and all kinds of stuff. There's the place in Southern California. There's all kinds of really high quality cleanses that you can do at home. And we talked about colon hydrotherapy in the car on the way here. All of these things that we can use to clean this vessel, this temple in some cultures. And when we clean it, then we can feel more accurately and we can expand our field. For those of you who never read it, read the book, The Field. It's actually scientifically proven now that there's this non-physical extension of everything. The cleaner this vessel is, the more receptive and the more accurate that muscle becomes. So I can literally just go through life now after all these years of cleansing and pure water and whole foods, and not the restaurant, not the grocery store Whole Foods, but I mean literally eating a whole raw or slightly cooked, not processed food. a whole food, my body has gotten pretty well tuned. And, thankfully, through a lot of those cleanses, your pineal gland gets activated, and now you become more consciously receptive, and you can project thought better, where even someone with not great reception will get it, which kind of goes to that mom-child story that you talked about earlier. Yes, love's a big thing, because love is kind of like the medium that signal rides on, but you got to have a clear temple too. You got to have you can't have static on the broadcast.
Okay, if the signal is unclear, but you think it's clear, and then you have these situations to where someone hits you in the car, or your purse gets stolen, or you get accused for something that you didn't do and get sent to prison.
Yeah.
For however many years. I'm a victim. I followed my gut, and this happened to me.
Okay, first of all, you followed your gut. I would say that quote bad thing wasn't bad at all. It was the situation that higher consciousness, source, God, universe, whatever that thing is, that's everything. That higher awareness saw an opportunity to get you from where you are in hell that you created, because you're stuck in duality, you got all these judgments and all this nonsense, and say, okay, all right, no. I'm going to bring this thing in from left field to get your attention, because I've been whispering to you this whole time. I've been telling you, I've been sending you books, you've been not reading them, giving you mentors and coaches and all of these people in your life, and you're not paying attention. So I'm going to knock you upside the head with this car crash, this prison sentence, this FBI investigation, I've been through all of those. We're going to financial bankruptcy. I've never filed bankruptcy, but I've been bankrupt. So, I'm going to give you this so you pay attention. Now, if you look back at those horrible relationships, those car crashes, those FBI investigations, whatever form these things took in your life, if you look back at them, something great came from that if you were paying attention. If you're stuck in victim mentality and, oh, this happened to me, well, then you just might as well crawl into a hole, or I don't know, leave town and end it. I don't know what to say or do, but I mean, no. To me, that's a completely inaccurate perspective. For lack of a better term in brevity, God put you in that situation. God made you go through that drama to get your attention. And if you didn't get the signal, if you didn't get the, oh, I got to wake up right now and pay attention, if you didn't get that, well, then you're going to stay victim. If you got it, you're going to say, okay, why am I here? This doesn't seem to make any sense based on my life. This seems like it's out of left field. Why am I here? What am I supposed to get from this? A detour is not something that happens to you. A detour is something, in my opinion, and in my experience, a detour is there to make sure that you are not where you're not supposed to be. It's a double negative. It's grammatically wrong. The detour is there to make sure that you are not where you are not supposed to be. In other words, if you kept going down the path the way you're going to end up in a whole pile of hurt.
This is all a lot of mindset stuff, Stephen. I mean, this is a lot of perspective, how you view the world. Are you suggesting that the way that you view the world influences the way that you experience the world, the way that the world happens to you?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, another huge mindset that we share is, I never lose because I always learn.
Well, the phrase is, I never lose because I always win, or the game's not over until I win.
Until I win, yeah.
And it comes down to, what is your perspective of life? Did life start at physical birth and end at physical death, or did you exist before and after that? What's your perspective? And you don't even have to answer it. I'm posing the question to whoever sees this at some point. Did you exist before the body? Are you going to exist after the body? And I can tell you right now, society pretty much has accepted the fact that they existed before the body and they will exist after the body. And you can tell that because...
I mean, aliens are a thing now. I mean, they've always been a thing.
They've always been a thing, but now they're an acknowledged and discussed thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's proven that they're real, that they exist.
I haven't met a gray yet, but okay.
So it's changing the timeline, isn't it? It's changing the history of who we are as a species.
I think it gives us a broader perspective of who and what we are.
Yeah. I kind of want to go backwards just a little bit to this whole idea of victim mentality. It doesn't happen to you, it happens for you. You're creating everything in your life. You've seen the movie The Matrix.
Of course, one of my favorites.
So I was rewatching it recently, the newest one that came out in 2021. And I can't remember the exact quote from the movie, but it was like, did you ever figure it out? Is it a choice or is it destiny?
Did I?
No, like in the movie they said that.
Yeah, I've asked that question many times and I haven't made the connection, so you just said it. But I've asked that question.
I mean, what do you think about that?
I asked Kevin that question. Everyone's going to wonder who's Kevin, but you know who Kevin is. I asked Kevin that
Uncle
question.
Kevin.
Yeah, Uncle Kevin. He said, does it really matter? He said, it's proof that you're tapped into the ether. So does it matter if you created it or if you received it? It doesn't matter. You're tapped into the ether. That's when you know you're tapped in. That's when you know that your vessel is clean enough that you are either transmitting or receiving or both.
And it doesn't matter.
And it doesn't
because
matter.
Who are you? There is no doer.
Because you're co-creating anyway. Yeah, there is no doer. There's only the observer.
Wow. So, Stephen, how long were you in prison?
7.5 years.
Straight through.
I wasn't straight, but yeah, I was straight through, yeah.
And so actually that leads me to my next point is you have had a journey of a monastic lifestyle. I know that in yoga terminology, they say you either take a householder path or a monastic, and most people are set to be in a household path. It's most common. We don't need that many monks on the planet. They do a good balancing act with the majority of the population. But your story is very unique. You had that experience. And what is that like? What led you to that decision?
It wasn't really a decision. It was a realization. First, I was a householder. I remember very well my early real estate career. To me, every set of keys was a victory. And, if you remember a lot of houses, I don't know if I have them anymore, but usually by the door, there's a little plaque with a few hooks on it where you hang your car keys. So, they usually got 4 or 5 little hooks on them. Well, I remember how much of a victory it was when we had to take off the key-shaped one with the 5 hooks. We went out to the garage and we made a piece of plywood and we went out and bought those brass hooks that you screw in. And we made one with, I think it was 10. And then all of a sudden we reached that point where we ran out of hooks. So then we had to make one with 20, and then we made one with 40, and then we made one with 100. Never did fill 100 one. But anyway, that was a victory. I was very much into the householding role back when I was a player, according to whoever you quoted. But how did I get there? I was in prison, and we were in a Sangam. Sangam, for people that don't know, is a gathering. It's like a worship or a meditation or whatever. It's a group of people that get together, and we study or we have a lesson that's given by somebody. And these people came from the Siddha Yoga Foundation. And what they do is they go out to prisons. It's kind of like a ministry, but it's not preachy. It's just like a meditation yoga thing. As I tend to quickly rose to the coordinator, kind of, motivator, gatherer person, the shepherd that makes the group happen so that these keep coming. And at some point, one of these Sangams, they said, you guys here in prison basically live a monastic lifestyle. They described what a monastic lifestyle was. And when they said the word monastic, the first moment I heard that word, it was like a light bulb went off inside my head.
Was this number 1, 2, or 3? Have you heard this word before?
The first time I heard it, it was kind of like yoga. The first time I did yoga, it kind of grabbed me. That word, monastic, grabbed me. I was like, wow, that's accurate. Yeah, monastic is absolutely true. And I had already been living the monastic lifestyle because I'd been in that situation for a few years at that point. I just realized I was in a place. Now, you put a gay man in a prison, some would think it's like a kid in a candy store. You could really experiment with a wide variety of situations there. But I was not. I was the complete opposite. I was like, okay, no, the energy of this place and these people are not what I want to get intimate with. So I was living a monastic lifestyle. When I heard the word, it was just like an epiphany. Yeah, I am. And then once I identified myself with the word, or the word somehow glued itself to me, unbeknownst to me, but it rang true, then I was like, okay, I just leaned into it. And the part that most people find fascinating about a monastic lifestyle is the no sex part. But sex was never really a motivator in my life anyway. I mean, yeah, I had a great relationship, and yeah, you do what adults do. But at the same time, I've had several sections in my life where it just was not an issue. And really, life is really simple when that's not an issue. Because, I mean, think about everything you do. Every piece of clothing you buy, every workout you go do, every cologne you buy, every hair product you buy. It's all about, how do I look? How do I present myself? Well, am I cute in this outfit? Does my butt look fat in this jeans? How does this suit fit? It's all about attracting that mate or maintaining a relationship with that mate for a lot of people. I recently lost 40 pounds. It had nothing to do with attracting a mate. I wanted to get into a particular yoga position, and I did it. You can't get into that position when you got a roll around your belly, right? And then, ironically, I've attracted a mate. Anyway, not planned, but it happened. And here I am. And it feels good. And it is what it is. But for a long time, whatever that was 2014-ish when I heard that word, monastic, for the first time. And this is 2025.
Well, I feel like this is a good place to get into what your healing work is. We're talking about relationships because relationships are sticky. We're taught that, and through the training that we've both been through, is it's the most full area of life. So if we were to separate life into segments, there's health, there's finances, wealth, and then there's happiness. And happiness can also be associated with the relationships. And this is sticky because you build connections with people constantly. We're born into this world. We have the DNA of our mom's line and our dad's line. And then we begin walking through life and we build emotional connections with people, physical connections, and all of these different connections. And somehow it just kind of all intermingles at some point. Your healing work, it can address relationships, it can address health, and it can address wealth, finance issues. What would you say are the most common issues that you come across in your clients?
Well, any symptom that someone is experiencing in their physical body or life or relationship usually comes from a negative emotion attached to some other earlier relationship or situation. So if you can zero in on the feeling of what that is, if I can zero in on that feeling, it's not even if, when I can zero in on the feeling that's preventing them from moving forward in some area of their life, then I can narrow down for them the situation that created this new challenge, even if it's 50 years later. When I'm sensing, when someone comes to me and says, Stephen, I can only make X amount of dollars. I'm hitting a ceiling. I can only make $150,000 a year. How come I can't go any higher? How come I bump up into that and then I fall back? And then I bump up into it and I fall back. Well, there's a stuck point. There's something there that won't let them advance farther. So if I can tap into their field and then find the feeling of the event that happened that created that block, well, then we go back to that time. We go back to that relationship, that situation, that health crisis, that whatever. And then we resolve it in the past, and then we resolve it in the future. And then I get a phone call or a text message or a voice message on my Telegram about, oh my God, You won't believe it. I just landed this job. It's all the way over here, and I just doubled my income. And that's when I think to myself, I should charge commission.
Any dollar you make here going forward is I get a percent.
No, just give me 10% of the gain. I'd be happy. I'd already be pretty well off if that were the case. You can still hire me by the hour. It's not going to be that way forever, but right now.
I'm having a lot of cognitions right now because I'm connecting the dots. I recently had a session with you. When was that? Probably 2 months ago. It reminds me of the whole idea of like what we think we want, we don't actually want. And so whenever you don't get what you think you want, it's either not the right time or there's something better out there for you. And there's 3 ways that you can define what you want. You can be general. I want a new car. You can be specific. I want a black Mercedes. Or you can focus on the feeling. I want to feel so good when I drive this car. I want everybody to look at me and all of this feeling associated. I came to you about a feeling that I was having, and I thought that it was associated with my current circumstances at that 2 months ago. And then you began to pull out these memories from my mind, people, situations, all of this stuff you're pulling out from me. It's taking me back to the beginning of the podcast when you said you're stuck in the analytical mind. That's how we're trained to live in this physical reality, is through the analytical mind typically. I was stuck in my mind. I was like, this is not relevant. The memories that you're having me talk about, Stephen, it's not relevant and it's not associated, were my thoughts when we were having the session. And of course, we go through it. I'm not understanding it intellectually, but I'm like, okay, I'm open, I'm teachable, I'm willing to experience this. I'm going to try to lessen my resistance in that way. And so then I had a release. And until this moment right now, I have not connected the dots. But what I'm experiencing right now, you had me talk about specifically men in my life during our session. And again, I did not realize this, but now I'm to a point where I thought I wanted a relationship and I was defining it specifically and generally, and I was focusing on the feeling and all this stuff. I thought that the issue was relationships, but it was connected to finances in life. And so now my desire has shifted. I thought I wanted a relationship. I thought I wanted a man in my life. And it's completely shifted to where now the desire to have a man in my life is little to none. And I'm more focused on building a business for myself.
And you're surrounded by rich, handsome, single men.
And the desire is not there.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I didn't even realize that it was connected though until right now.
But do you see the dichotomy, the irony of it, right? You're a beautiful woman and you're out going through the world thinking, I have to attract myself this amazing mate. And then you realize, wait a minute, I don't need that amazing mate. And now you're surrounded by all these incredible guys. Do you see that?
Well, it's a part of the formula, isn't it? The non-attachment.
Yeah.
It's like when you don't want it, that's when you get it.
And on my side, I just went on a trip halfway around the world, and I can't say that I'm monastic anymore, so we'll see what happens. But wasn't looking, didn't think. There it was. Okay, that's interesting.
It's similar to the idea that success gurus in general, spiritual leaders they live a paradoxical life, right? Because they don't want it. And everything is just coming to them.
Yeah.
Who was it? I don't think it was Rumi. It was some other spiritual leader. He had like 7 Bentleys.
Oh.
Who was that?
Who was that?
It wasn't Rumi. Was it?
I don't remember.
Not Robert. I'm gonna Google it. Hold on.
Is he still alive now?
Osho.
Osho.
It was Osho.
Yeah, Osho's cool.
Oh, Rolls Royces.
Rolls Royces. Oh.
And not 7. It was around 93 Rolls Royces at the peak of his movements in 1980.
I so undercharge.
Osho intentionally used extreme wealth as a provocation to challenge the belief that spirituality must equal poverty, to expose hypocrisy around attachment, desire, and judgment, to force observers to confront their own conditioning about holiness and wealth.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't need 90 Rolls Royces.
Well, you don't need a Rolls Royce at all.
That's true. I wouldn't mind a driver, though. I've embraced driving lately, but yeah, I could do without driving.
So, Stephen, do you heal yourself, or do you require other assistance at times?
Yes and yes. It depends on the situation. Often I can get myself to a certain place, and then I ask someone to help me bridge the gap. If you're living in the forest, you can't see the trees necessarily. It's like you coming to me thinking you have a money problem and it's really a relationship problem, or vice versa. You're in it. If you're in it, you can't tell. You probably know. You've seen a girlfriend in a very destructive, toxic relationship, and she thinks she's in heaven and this guy's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and you're like, girl, you're miserable. What the hell are you talking about? I saw you with a black eye 2 weeks ago. Whatever. But you can't convince them. All you can do is love them and support them and hope that you're the one that they call when it's time, and be there to help them. If I'm I don't get that severely ill anymore, but if I'm in it, whatever it is, and I'm having this challenge or situation, I want someone. It's not even, can I fix it myself? Of course I can fix it myself. I want an outside perspective, someone who could see it more clearly than maybe I'm seeing it at that moment. And then two minds overpower the field. So now you got two people that are in a mastermind together that are going to say, okay, we're going to solve this. And my circles. So, those people were all right, how can we make this more ideal? And it's not even about, will I drink the shark pee? It's, okay, do I need the purple shark pee or the yellow shark pee? Because whatever potion I need to fix this, that's what I'm going to take, no matter what it tastes like or looks like or feels like or whatever. Whereas most people are like, ew. Of course, I'm not literally talking about shark pee, but you know what I mean? Whatever that thing is, we're going to do it.
So I'm curious how you apply this concept to your healing work. The idea that if you do for somebody what they can and should do on their own, you end up stifling them more than helping them. And a lot of the times people need a hand up. They don't need a hand out. How can that be related to your work? Do you ever have people that just come to you and you know that they probably can and should do it on their own? What do you do in those circumstances?
Okay, so I'm in the process of creating a system right now that I will be launching in January 2026. I'm going to offer a 90-day healing/coaching package. And part of that package is clearly identifying the issue, because you think your problem is in this particular area of your life, but it's not, because it's started with this samskara, or this emotional wound that you suffered 30 years ago. One, we have to address what is really the issue. You think it's, I can only make $150,000 a year. I'm not saying you literally, but the client. I can see and feel and sense that, wait a minute, it has to do with this thing over here. And you're like, logically, this doesn't make any sense. This isn't relevant. You said it a minute ago, but okay, I'm going to go with it. And then we have the clearing, the transmutation, whatever you want to call it. We blow it out, whatever. And now all of a sudden that block is gone. And then the call comes. Oh my God, you wouldn't believe what just happened. Well, yeah, I do believe what happened, because we got rid of the thing that was stopping you from being able to get the thing that you wanted in the first place. Yeah, I get it. So how is that relevant in my thing? Well, in my offering is, look, once we blow out the situation, once we transmute that energy in that past challenge, there now has to be a step where that client takes on the responsibility of applying what they've learned now. I'll tell you a really quick story. I went to a set of processes that's offered by our mentor. Most people go once, maybe twice. I went 3 times. His wife came to me and said, why do you keep coming and doing these? And I said, because if these processes fix everything that's ever happened to me before, and I still have a bad habit, I know enough about this training to know that I'm recreating the situation. So I keep coming back to fix what I've created since the last time I did it. Now, our mentor has a new offering that's going to prevent that necessity in my mind and people's minds that work like mine to keep redoing it. Because it's done, it's done. Okay? So, because I'm dealing with the general public and they don't have the resources that we have, the training resources that we have, because they don't have that, I have to now get them to acknowledge and recognize the situation. And then we have to address the thinking habit that created it. And we have to change that thinking habit. So that's why instead of going out and just saying, yeah, I'm going to be this healer and I'm going to, magically wave my wand and you're going to be fixed forever. No, it doesn't really quite work like that because you are still stuck in a habitual thought pattern. We have to change that habitual thought pattern. We have to change the neural pathway, if we speak scientifically. We got to change the neural pathway so you don't recreate the condition. So is there healing involved? Yes. Is there coaching involved? Yes. Do you need someone that's outside of the situation to hold you accountable? Yes. And who is going to hold you accountable? Because quite frankly, most people that have friends that hold them accountable, they end up having a grudge against that friend because, well, who are you to point out my, pardon my French, shit to me? Right? So now you end up with a resentment against your friend. But if you specifically hire a healer/coach to be your accountability partner, you're accepting already that, okay, hey, I'm here to identify what you're doing. Point it out to you so you can adjust. So how is it related? That's how it's related. We got to change the habit. You change the thought habit, you change the vibration that you emit, you change the belief that, prison is happening to me, this car crash is happening to me, cancer is happening to me, and you change the belief to, oh, wait a minute, this is a signal. This is something that's pointing out to me that there's something I need that needs my attention. It's not happening to me, it's happening for me. And that's what that coach, guru person is. When you subscribe to their system, their tutoring, their guidance, then they're there to point that out. So it can be addressed, so it can be changed. So now you're not going through unconsciously walking through your life like some zombie on a TV show. You are actually consciously making a decision. You're consciously deciding, you know what? I didn't mean to think that about Bob. Instead of thinking Bob's a jerk, I'm going to think about Bob's good qualities. You know what? All right, he's not my favorite person in the world, but he is really organized. It's just a matter of, do I look at him being a jerk or do I look at him being organized? Now, if I focus long enough on his organization, I'm going to realize that he probably has some other good qualities too. But if I'm just stuck and Bob's a jerk, that relationship is never going to get any better. But if I focus on my coworker Bob's really well organized, now I kind of want to know Bob if I'm unorganized because he's going to help me get organized. Whereas before I was repelling from Bob because I thought he was a jerk.
You're not really doing anything for anybody. You're helping them get there on their own. They take the action initially to hire you. And then, you give them a little bit of an assist. Coaching.
Well, we are transmuting some energy. There is still a samskara. There is still something happening before.
Coming in together.
Yeah. So the two minds outpower the bank. Mm-hmm. So we identify what the situation is, which you have already said that you didn't even realize that that's what this was really about. So I have to point out to them what I see, which is not what they thought it was. And then, and see is the wrong word. I'm going to say sense. And then we rectify that. And then we move forward.
Does that have an impact on the ability to get over whatever they're dealing with? Because I was resistant. I remember the first time I hired you for a physical issue that I was having that was caused by my sleeping on my shoulder wrong. And 3 days later, I couldn't even move my head. And I remember that healing session, actually, you were talking about all of this mind stuff. And I thought we were going to be meditating on the phone for an hour together. I was like, why is he coaching me? I don't want to be coached in my mind right now. I'm in pain. Just send me energy. That's what I wanted from you. And I didn't understand that at first. So I'm curious, the resistance,
resistance, that's
when
right.
People have that resistance, because my shoulder, it started getting better the next day, but could it have been quicker? Or, I've slept on it wrong since then, so maybe there's a little bit of residual there, right? Mm-hmm. Does that impact the rate of healing?
So resistance absolutely affects the rate of healing. Resistance also determines to a large degree what a person comes to me with. Because someone has a lot of resistance, unless something really massive has happened, they're not going to come to me. They have resistance. Resistance is the thing that prevents them to come to me in the first place. I have a cancer patient, 3 different 4-stage, when she came to me, 3 different 4-stage cancers. They were basically counting the days at that point. Doctors were like, yeah, let's just make her comfortable. Let's make sure she's not in pain, blah, blah, blah. Someone referred the husband to me, someone in connection to our club. He called me and we had a consultation, and then they decided to buy a package. And when we're dealing with someone who has cancer, this is a chronic condition. This is a chronic health condition that manifested from a chronic thinking condition, which usually came from a chronic emotional condition. They decided that they were going to move forward, and I just got word it was right before I left for the other side of the planet. I got a call from the husband who had not contacted me in a while. I thought that, oh, okay, this relationship's over, something happened, and, I'll never know. Anyway, he came back. He said, yeah, they've actually cut her treatment in half. All the tests look amazing. Blah, blah, blah. I have a call with them in 2 or 3 days. I think it's on my schedule. And since that call before I left, they've had more tests, and I'm going to find out the results. I already know what the results are. They're going to be glowing and wonderful and amazing, but I will actually, after the call, be able to report that this was the result. And anyone who follows me on Instagram, this is all in my reels. You could easily follow this case. But anyway, the resistance is a big, big factor, because if you have massive resistance, you're going to end up with something chronic, physically chronic. It's going to be diabetes or cancer or something. And if you resolve the emotional issue, you get rid of the symptom, you get rid of the illness, you get rid of it. You gotta solve the emotional root cause before the symptom goes away. And that symptom can be relational, it can be financial, it can be health, it can be anything.
Wow.
And you saw it in your dog. It's just not just people.
Yeah.
We're all the same. Well, kind of. We're all energy.
Yeah, you did heal my dog. My dog got me a misdemeanor. Well, it's gone now, but yeah.
And friendliest dog in the world now, right?
Yeah.
Loves everybody.
Yeah,
no more aggression.
He would try to bite people constantly. I would take him on walks, and he would snip at people all of the time. I had to be very careful with him. And then I think you were traveling somewhere, passing through, so you stayed a night at my house, and I'm telling you all of this. I'm like, Steven, you got to be careful coming in here. Dabo's going to try to bite you. Just say hi to him and he'll chill out. And you're like, okay, whatever. You walk into my house and he doesn't even try to bite you, which I thought was odd. But before that, he did sent somebody to the hospital because he bit them so bad. And I had to pay that whole hospital bill, which was fun. But yeah, your energy, you coming in there and then you doing energy work on my dog. And what was that, 2 years ago, 2023?
Mm-hmm.
And my dog's fine since then. He's no issues. Doesn't try to bite at anybody. Nothing. He can read energy, so some people he's still a little weary. But yeah, no, he's perfect.
But he's not attacking the energy. He's like, okay, that one's weird. I'm walking away.
Yeah. And so you have this ability to work on animals too.
Yeah.
Are there any limits to what you can work with? Is there any fields that you've touched where you're like, oh, I'm not, I mean, you just told me about a multiple stage 4 cancer, and they're progressing in the right direction. I mean, that's like incredible. It almost sounds unheard of, especially when you start getting into Western medicine.
Yeah.
I mean, stage 4, that's pretty much a death sentence. Have you experienced any limitations?
Not yet.
Wow.
It's surprising and humbling and very interesting. It's very interesting to be a woo-woo person. The old me is like, I can't believe this has happened. This is just weird.
But it's also not woo-woo because we're talking about it scientifically proven.
But
everything is energy vibrating at different frequencies.
If you're a diehard Republican or Democrat, you think the other people are nuts. Mm-hmm. So if you're a diehard science-based person, media-based person, tangible, this is a table person, then this is still all woo-woo, even though it's been proven, the person that's tangible, that is believing in the tangible reality of something, they either are not attracting into their lives the woo-woo from their perspective, what we would consider the bigger truths, because they're living that surface duality, solidity mindset. So that's what they're attracting, anything that proves that is true. Whereas those of us that through whatever dark night of the soul journey that we've had, that's made us pay attention has now shown us that, wait a minute, the surface stuff, the player stuff, to use the word that you repeated earlier, it's nonsense. You have to be sick and tired of being sick and tired before you'll wake up out of that zombie-like state of material and acknowledge that there's something more.
So, Stephen, this has all been really great. If you were to give one recommendation or suggestion to anybody who's watching this, what would it be?
Seek a state of non-judgment. Because if you're not judging every single person and every single sentence and every single word and every single car and suit and hairstyle and whatever, if you're not assigning a value that that's good or that's bad or stupid or they're too whatever, tall, short, blonde, brunette, bald, if you're not in a state of judgment and you're in a state of allowing, you can just accept that, okay, there's this thing, this person, this situation that's presenting itself to me. This is reflecting at me something. This is showing me something. Become inquisitive. Become childlike. Ask questions. Why? And you don't have to ask, I don't have to ask you, why are we sitting in a studio right now having this conversation? I'm asking the universe, why am I in a studio having this conversation right now? I'm pretty sure I know the answer, but it's an internal question. It's a meditate, contemplate on it question. So if you're in a relationship and that relationship is driving you a little bonkers, okay, well, why am I in this relationship? This is one of those things that someone in duality is going to think you're a little nuts and maybe consider locking you up for, but you're walking around the living room having this conversation out loud with yourself and someone overheard it. Why am I having this issue with so-and-so? What is this here to tell me? What is this here to show me? And you have to vocalize it, by the way. So, if someone was walking around in my apartment, they would think I'm nuts because I'm talking out loud all the time, asking questions. Who am I asking the questions to, you might ask? Well, I'm asking my higher self, my consciousness, my guides. I mean, how woo-woo do we want to be? God? Do I want to be, Christian and say, okay, I'm talking to God now? Do I want to be spiritual and say, oh, I'm talking to my spirit guides? Or do we want to be Buddhist and say, I'm speaking to my higher self? Doesn't matter. You're speaking it.
I may misquote this. Albert Einstein said, it's not that I have more answers. It's just that I can sit with the problems longer.
Yeah. The more solutions you get, the more questions you have for a while. And then eventually it's all the same answer.
And if someone were to do what your suggestion is, seek the state of non-judgment, inquire, be curious, ask questions, be childlike, not necessarily to find the answers, but just to go through the practice, the answers will come, release the need for the answer, but just get into this state of non-judgment. If they were to apply that, what would be the result?
A happier life. You create your own misery. If everything you see, hear, and experience is judged as good or bad or black or white or crazy or nuts or sad or stupid or whatever, you're in a self-created hell on earth. I shouldn't say it's self-created because that assigns blame, but you've unconsciously mimicked and modeled the material world and the people that live in it. And therefore, you've now co-created this existence that's quite miserable in your life. So at some point, if you get the realization that, oh, wait a minute, I act this way because I grew up in an environment of people that act this way, well then, who are you and how should you act? Another one of those questions to ask out loud while you're walking through the house, vacuuming the floor, with hopefully no one around to say, oh my God, they're nuts. But yeah, it's a happier state because you're no longer judging it. Okay. And that's why Kevin says, it's turning into a Kevin commercial. That's why Kevin says, have Uncle Kevin, have mild preferences. Don't have, I love this and I hate that. Just have mild preferences. I prefer chicken.
It's leaner, leaner than beef.
Right? Whatever. Well, and then again, there's something to be said about a nicely seared steak too.
Oh,
So, you know.
yeah. Who would want a happier life, you know? Who would want that? Well, thank you. Thank you for being here, Stephen.
You're welcome. Are we done already?
How would people find you? What do you go by? Is this solidified?
It is solidified.
Sage Stephen.
Sage Stephen 7 on Instagram.
Do you think well, I can't even ask you that question because you're in a receptive mode. You never know where life's going to take you. I was going to ask, do you plan, I guess that's a better way to word it. Do you plan to do YouTube? Are you on Facebook?
I'm on Facebook by default because when you put something on Instagram, it magically somehow flows into Facebook. I don't pretend to know how that happens, but it does.
You set it up that way.
I did not consciously set it up that way. So it is what it is. I'm just allowing. And when someone like you that has more technical knowledge and experience than myself is on my team full time can say, okay, we can make this more conscious. Like, okay, cool. Go for it. I'm looking at YouTube. That looks like a lot of work. Instagram, I thought was a lot of work. YouTube looks like a lot of work. So right now, my focus is Instagram. Anyone that's in my coaching programs knows me on Telegram as @FounderSteven. It's getting more and more difficult for me to speak one-on-one, so I do tend to reserve that for my paying clients.
Where did you come up with Sage Stephen?
I didn't come up with it. Just like our mentor didn't come up with his name, I did not come up with it. When you go through the incarceration, there's the blooper reel. The incarceration experience, you are given a name. I can't pretend to know how it happens, but the people that are of large percentage in prison tend to be more street oriented, and they all have street names. So when you come into prison, you are given a street name. And the first street name I was given was Sage. And of course, my name is Stephen. So I became known in the first institution. I, even in the BOP, managed to travel, which was kind of interesting. That doesn't usually happen. You're usually stuck in a place and that's it. That's an interesting opening, by the way, to another realization I've had recently. So let's talk about it. Maybe this will help somebody. You can consciously be and do and have anything and everything you want. And the key part of that is the first be. That's why I say be of joy whenever I sign an email or a letter or sign off from a broadcast. Be of joy. You can be anything you choose to be. Most people are what they unconsciously chose to be. I am an accountant. I am a lawyer. I am this. I am a doctor. Why are you a doctor? Well, because my dad was a doctor. They unconsciously ended up being the thing, and then now they label themselves as that thing. You can consciously be whatever you want. So what I found myself doing in the federally funded vacation is I ended up moving from place to place. So what I consciously decided to do, I was going to emphasize a different aspect of who Stephen was and see how that was reflected back at me. So when I went to the first place, I was very deep into my studies. I took that opportunity to go into the basic book list and dive into everything those authors wrote and read it and dissect it and take notes on it and really deep dive. So I had the perception, apparently, of being the sage. So whenever someone wanted advice or guidance of some kind, that's what happened. They came to me. In the second place, really did proportionally from the external perspective, I did way more yoga. It was actually more in the first place, but I did more yoga. And I think maybe it's because more public. I wasn't in the shoe. It was out on the lawn. So then I became known as the yogi. And then at the third place, I was focused on saving as much money as I could because I knew when I came out in the world, I'd probably have to put a roof over my head. So I took on the role of tailor. So when I was the prison tailor, I was the preferred prison tailor. I charged more than everyone else and I still had more business. But I do know what I'm doing. So anyway, yeah, I became Needles. Needles was my nickname in the third place because I was the tailor. So anyway, it's interesting how when you consciously decide to project a different aspect of your truth, how is that perceived and reflected back at you? In prison, it's a nickname.
Interesting where the name came from, but you bring up a really good point about the being. And, Neville Goddard says the law of assumption, assume the wish fulfilled. It's the first thing that's required to create something in this physical world. So we have to become that version of ourselves before we can get what it is that we want.
Live as if. Live as if. If you want to be the thing, if you want to be this thing, if you want to have this life, this is like law of attraction 101. More woo-woo, right?
Well, it's not woo-woo, Stephen.
Well, that's how it's perceived
as woo-woo.
As woo-woo. It's not. It's real. But
it's real, and it defies all of the physical laws of the universe.
Right.
The law of attraction is
the physical
basis.
laws of the universe, exactly. So if people are that's why it's woo-woo, because people that are stuck in the physical
because they don't
perceive
understand
it as woo-woo. They don't see it's
this is gravity.
Outside. Right.
It takes time and space.
Yeah.
For you to get from here to here.
Yeah. No, not really. I prove that every time I'm on a call.
I mean, how else do you explain people who success stories overnight, And there's no such thing. We know about the Chinese bamboo tree. You got to water it and fertilize it for 7 years. But in the physical world, it appears as overnight, and it is overnight in the physical world.
So you can consciously choose. Yeah, you can consciously choose who you are. If you want to be, let's say you're not a millionaire and you want to be a millionaire, you have to do what a millionaire does in order to become the millionaire. And that doesn't mean buy the Mercedes and the Jimmy Choo shoes. That's not what that means, because that's just going to get you in debt. And debt's going to make you miserable, and you're going to go backwards.
There's a distinction there that Uncle Kevin talks about, where when you listen to people have what you want and have been where you are, a lot of people do it wrong. They mistake that, and they start doing what that person is doing where they are now. If I'm listening to you, you're at a different income bracket than I am. If I'm wanting to listen to you, how to get to a higher income bracket, I can't do what you're doing here. I have to do what you did when you were where I am.
But at the same time, you have to do what I did when I was at that point. Was what the person does that's at the point that I'm at now. So here's what I mean. Let's take this and make it a physical thing. Let's make this a workout thing. If I'm looking at somebody and I go, oh my God, that is probably the most amazing set of abs I've ever seen in my life. Okay, male or female, doesn't matter. Your sexuality doesn't matter. Oh my God. Well, guess what? You got to get up and you're going to have to run 3 or 4 miles a day. You're going to have to do the crunches and the whatever else that person does, assuming you're genetically similar. You're going to have to do what that person does in order to get those abs, and you're going to do it while you're 50 pounds overweight, being who you really are. You have to give up the Oreos or the ice cream or the whatever and stick to the chicken breast.
The cost of renovation is minus Oreos.
Right.
The after rehab value on the abs, though.
Right. So the point is, I have to act as if I already have abs. I have to do what the guy who has the abs does in order to get the abs. I have to act as if I already have those abs. Well, that guy didn't get up and eat a tub of ice cream today. That guy probably can't remember the last ice cream he had.
Interesting.
So if I'm going to be a millionaire, well, guess what? That means I got to save. That means I got to be wise about where my money goes. I'm not spending willy-nilly. I'm investing that money. I'm investing it in myself. I'm investing it in my health. I'm investing it in my business. I'm investing it in my knowledge. I'm investing it in getting market knowledge so I can better serve my clients. I can attract more business, right? It's calculator stuff. You've already decided that, okay, yes, this is the business I want to be in. Yes, this is the thing I love. Yes, this is the value that I'm bringing to this planet at this time. Now, because that decision felt good here, now it's okay. How do I calculate that? How do I bring it into reality?
Ooh. Yeah. The training balance scale, 90 to 99% is thoughts, the way that you think. 1 to 10% is the action or the how. Mm-hmm. And we know that that's not our job. It's reminding me of, Uncle Kevin. He says he sits down. He's like, okay, God, source, universe, infinite intelligence. What do you got for me? What are the possible hows on my radar screen? Writes them all down. Okay, well, there's nothing really here. Throws it away, goes away, focuses on feeling good now, feeling better now. Distracts the conscious mind so that the subconscious can work on it until he sits down again. Okay, anything new? Until you get an answer, right? Because what's on our radar screen, it's not typically the how.
There's an affirmation I adopted recently, and that is drop open doors for me that I did not even know to knock on. I started saying that like 3 months ago. Since then, I've traveled around the world. I have a new accountant. I have a fantastic woman in my life who has, I think, a PhD or master's degree or something in finance, who is now retired and needs something to do and is sitting in my office filing for me.
You can bring her over to my house too.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
My papers are everywhere.
Yeah. And, my accountant, I noticed when we were on the break, my accountant has left voice messages for me, probably saying, send me more information. But, of course, we're focused on this now.
Just because you had that intention to
open doors for me that I did not even know to knock on. And while I was there, the miracle after miracle after miracle that happened was just ridiculous. I now have a new thing. I didn't even know I had it until I got there. And now people are talking about it. Go ahead, ask the question. What's the thing?
What is it?
Yeah. I experienced, it's not I. The experience is a healing hug. That's the experience. It's not I. It doesn't have anything to do with me. But the experience is a healing hug. I went to this gathering and I had clients there that had been clients for a long time, and they came because they knew I was going to be there. Of course, there was plenty of other reasons to be there, but they came because I was going to be there. And they came to me for a hug. And then all of a sudden, someone else came up to me for a hug, and then someone else came up to me for a hug. And then this turned out to this thing. I felt like I was a Cedar Point ride. It was like this line, this queue that was an hour long created itself. And then people are walking away, and my photographer, my assistant, who is another new thing that has happened in the last 90 days, my assistant's taking pictures of all of these hugs. Yeah.
Wow. That reminds me of darshan.
Oh, it kind of does.
The spiritual practice.
It kind of does, yeah.
And
then another new thing happened. I did my first group session, and I'm going to have to equate that almost to a Shaktipat experience for him.
Wow.
The text that he's sending me now is just amazing.
And the only difference between you and anyone else is that you're awake and most are still asleep.
And I've cleaned the vessel.
You've cleaned the vessel. Your light's turned on. You're aware of your light.
Yeah. And I've acknowledged it. And I've made a deal with God saying, put me in the right place at the right time, make it feel so good that I won't ignore it. Anyway, interesting.
Very interesting.
This life is very interesting.
Interesting is the best term to use because it is a non-judgment term. My friend Danielle said, it's interesting that you use the word interesting all the time. Why do you use that word? Because I've activated and illuminated the word, looked up the definition of it, origin, all of that stuff. And it's because it's inherently neutral. And it's just an observatory word.
Mm-hmm.
It's an observation word. And it makes you think.
It makes you childlike. Because what does a kid do that drives so many adults batty?
Ask questions.
Yeah. Why? But Mom, why?
I used to ask so many questions as a kid.
I can't even tell you how many times I got paddled because I asked so many questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Spanked, slapped, smacked. Go stand in the corner. Leave me alone, kid. Go watch television. Go outside. Go ride your bike. Do something. Just get away from me.
I can understand where the adults are coming from.
Yeah. You do get it when you're older, don't you?
Yeah. I mean, even walking on the path that we're on, people come in and they're all excited and eager to grow and learn, and you've been on the path, and we ask the questions. We stay in that curiosity standpoint, but then we also have the stillness, and any questions that come, it doesn't matter. I don't know. It's interesting.
It is interesting.
To not need to ask the questions, but also enjoy asking the questions and just kind of bounce back and forth. We are here in a physical body, and so it should be explored.
Okay. Are we? Are you sure?
A part of us is.
Okay.
A part of us is here.
Are you sure?
No, actually, the other day, I forget what a friend said to me, but I was like, I guess I'm just a figment of your imagination, or am I, or something. It made me question. I was like, am I actually only a figment of their imagination, or am I real? I remember having that literally 2 days ago.
There's no coincidences. That's 2. That's your number 2.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for watching. This is Steven, Sage Steven. I am very lucky and grateful to be in his presence. Thank you, Steven, for joining one more time.
Thank you.
The next time you see us here, we will be just as shocked as you are.
Till then.
Till then.
Be of joy.